All right. I'm live. And today is May, what is it? The 19th. Hang on, stand by. Yeah, it's Sunday. We blew right through Saturday. I apologize. It's midnight with Magoo, and it's almost 1 in the morning on Sunday. And I'm sorry for that. But I ran into some wonderful people, and we just got into some great conversations, and that's what happened. That's what happens. But it's really good. Sometimes it's really important to take the time. Hi, Arlene. Good evening. I got my hat on. How are you doing this evening or today or tonight? Hey, Nico. Yeg squirrel. All right. Hello. Hi, Drifter Shelley. Can you guys hear me okay? Hi, Arlene. Hi, Diane. Love the hat. Okay, good. Wow, it's 9 in the morning in Ireland. Ooh, I wish I was there. I would love to be there. And here you are, Eric. All right, from Culver City, who's coming sometime. 2 a.m. there. Okay, well, I won't keep it too long. This is going to be sort of short because I'm so late. And I apologize. I really do. I'm supposed to be here on midnight with Magoo, and it's almost 1 in the morning. But it's Saturday night, so hey, I figure, oh, it's okay. Oh, good. The sound is okay. All right. It's kind of echoing for me because of the hat. It's kind of echoing a little bit. But anyway, I'll keep it like this. It's good. I like it. So, hello to all of you. Thank you for coming. Please hit the like button. I always forget to ask you that, but please do that so we get, you know, good likes because that moves everything up on the internet. And we want Scientology well shown. This is an important topic also. So the more people that hear this, the more you can pass it around, the better. So I'm going to talk about it. Scientology is a plethora of different sections. They call it the org board, right? And I'm not going to get into all of the different sections of the org board, but one of them is the Office of Special Affairs, which stands for OSA. That's when you hear OSA, that's for the Office of Special Affairs. And originally, when I got in, they said it was just PR and legal, right? And a lot of Scientologists still think of it as PR and legal, but it's really PR, legal, and their dirty tricks department. And I happened to have a best friend and auditor at the time when I was in named Bill Yachty. And this is going to be odd. Hi, Mr. Mark, Dr. Mark in Texas. Hi. Thank you. I am doing well. Yeah, I'm doing good. And I hope you are too. Um, so we're talking about OSA and how did I get involved in it? I wasn't on staff. I was a public. This was one of my friends. He was on staff. And it's probably going to sound weird for a lot of people because the internet is so intertwined in our lives now for everyone. I mean, from all ages. You see little 2-year-olds on their cell phones, God knows what they're doing, but they are. Hi, Liz Laupin. Hi. My favorite place to be on Sunday in England. All right, cool. So basically, he was my friend. I wasn't on staff. He was on staff. But the internet was just coming about at the time. I mean, it was probably already about, but in our world, in Scientology, it was just coming about, in the 90s. And so he said to me, look, there's some really evil people on the internet. And a lot of you people may have heard this already, but a couple of people asked me to please say it again, because there's plenty of people who haven't heard it. So if it's redundant, I understand and I apologize, but that's why I'm saying it again, because some people have asked me to. Um, okay, so Bill Yachty's his name. He's a class 8 auditor. I think class 9, he says now. But anyway, he asked me to open up. He said, very few people can do this, but I think you can, Tori, which is a famous Scientology trick, where it's like, no one else can, but you can. Thank you, Dr. Mark. He said, I look like a movie star. And hairdo. That's funny. Very cute. Anyway, thank you. Hi. Oh, oh, cool. All right. Look at this. Chow Young Smut sent me over. Okay. All right. Hi, Tiff. Hi, everyone. Okay, so I'm talking about OSA. Bill asked me to open up this account. This is in the mid 90s, kind of. And he said, nobody's done this, so you're going to be the first person to do it if you can do it. He said, normally you have to open an email account on the internet, but I want you to walk in. Thank you. Thank you, Pamela. He said, I want you to walk in and I'm going to give you a cashier's check. So you're going to pay with the cashier's check. You're going to tell them you create a story that you have to get it done today. You have to get an email account and a password. So I did. I just basically kind of pushed my way in and said, I have an emergency. I forget what the story was. My dad died or something, and I have to get an email account set up. And here's how I'm going to pay for it. Here's the cashier's check. And I just need the email. And thank you, Falling Star. I need the email and I need a password. That's it. And I, or maybe I create the password. I forget. Whatever you have to get. I think I needed just the email and then I would create the password. But anyway, thank you, Smoke. I come back and I say to Bill, okay, I got it. And he normally has a grin like this, right? And this day he had a grin as big as my room. He was just like thrilled. And I said, what? It was just sort of like, okay, what's the big deal? I got an email account. I didn't even know what an email account really was. That's how beyond I was. I mean, I think I had an AOL little email account or something, but I didn't have any idea what he was up to. So he said, he just had this huge grin and he said, I just want you to know you have personally just changed the history of the internet. And I said, Bill, how can I change the history of the internet if I don't even know what it is? Which I didn't, right? And he laughed, because that's kind of the way we were. Thank you. Thank you, Eric. I know, I kind of like it. Someone sent it to me. It's really cool. So thank you to the person who sent it to me. I'm so I think it was, wait, let me just check one thing. Because I think I have it right here. I'm trying to keep track of these things. Oh yeah, Casey Knight. She sent me this hat. So thank you, Casey Knight. I don't know that she's on here tonight, but hopefully she'll hear it sometime. Anyway, she sent me a bunch of things. It's really kind. But a bunch of people have. Hi, loving the hat, Tori. Hi, Alaska. Hi, Nico. So good. I'm glad you're loving the history. Okay, so anyway, it's in the mid 90s. I opened the account. Bill says you've just changed the history of the internet. I'm like, how can I change the history of the internet if I don't even know what it is? And he's like, okay, well, here's the deal. There's these really evil people on the internet, and they're trying to ruin our religion. And I said, really? And he said, yeah. And he said, I'm not going to get into it with you because, and you have to understand the backstory of it is one of my dear friends, I thought went insane because that's what he told me. She was jumping out of windows and had an awful time. And I didn't know, this was 95. I escaped out in 2000. And in 2000, she finally called me and told me, Tori, I didn't go insane. They drugged me and they reverse audited me. That's what happened. But I didn't know that. And so I was terrified to read the internet. It was like, wait a minute. He said, that's what happened to her. That's why she's that way. And I was like, really? And of course, he's not going to say we drugged her. I don't even know if he knew it because Scientology, one thing I'm going to say over and over is they're so fractioned off. Nobody knows what the next person's doing. Do you see what I mean? So Bill might not have even known. Thank you, Apostate Mike, Alex. Thank you. Bill might not have even known that, this person was drugged and reverse audited. He might truly have believed that she was reading the internet and thus went insane. I don't know. And I'm not going to speak for him. I'm just going to say, I don't know. But thank you for coming on, Apostate Alex. It's really fun to see all you guys smoke. Thank you. And everybody's happy you're here. Good SP. All right. I know. I'm sorry I didn't get to come, but I was meeting some dear friends and it was very wonderful. So that's a whole different thing. So anyway, back to my story I want to get through it so that I don't miss things. So Bill says, okay, great. We're not going to tell you anything. I'm not going to tell you. It's just he and I. That's all. It's not like I'm with OSA. I wasn't. I wasn't on staff with OSA. I was like a volunteer, if anything, helping basically my friend Bill Yachty. And he was saying, look, I need to get these accounts opened up. He said, actually, I need 10 accounts. I said, really? And he goes, yeah. And I said, well, what are you going to do with them? And he goes, I'm not going to tell you. Because if I tell you, these people are really evil, Tori, and they will put you in deposition, and you don't want that because they will keep you in deposition. And remember, he was my auditor, so he knew everything about me. And I thought, yeah, he's right. I don't want to be in deposition forever. I don't know if anybody does. But anyway, point being, I said, no, I don't. So he said, okay, so I'm just not going to tell you. You're just going to open the accounts. I'll do the work. So he was on the internet doing all this stuff. I was opening the accounts. So at first, they start flying me around. And I say they because OSA was running. He was working with OSA. He was on staff at the Enhancement Center. If anybody knows that, it's out in the valley. He was on staff there. He used to be in the Sea Org. Then his wife didn't want to stay, so they routed out, and he's on staff at the Enhancement Center. So in the afternoon, he was like a top CS, Class 8 auditor, and then, okay, no, wait. So, hi, Sophie. Thank you for coming on. Okay, thank you for that. Let me just put this up there because she has a message for everyone, which is please put questions before your questions because otherwise sometimes I miss them, and provide context for Tori, and remember to hit the like button. Yeah, so like if you say something, say the whole thing, so I get it. Okay, so back, and somebody has to remember what I'm saying because I forget what I'm saying all the time. And then if somebody will just follow along and remember, I just need like one word of the main subject of what I'm talking about. But right now I remember I was talking about Bill and he said, we need to open up 10 accounts. So we're going to fly you around the country. And at this point, I'm working with OSA, and I'm working with him, but he's working with OSA. And OSA's paying to fly me around. And they're giving me these cashier's checks. And, I know to other people, you might be thinking, really? You did this? And even I'm like, I did? But at the time, you have to understand, I really trusted him. He was my auditor for a long time. And I had said in session, I trust you with my life. If you ever need anything, I will do it. So they looked through my folder and knew, okay, she's our mark. She'll do anything. If Bill asks her, like if OSA had asked me to do it, I wouldn't have done it. I would have said, no, I'm not doing it. But because he asked me to do it, I said, okay. So I did it. Now, at the time, they start flying me around and I start opening up accounts, and I opened one in Chicago. Well, actually, Chicago was one place I couldn't get one open, but I did in Las Vegas, and I got them in a lot of different places. Chicago, I couldn't find anybody that would let me in at all. And so he said, okay, well, maybe go to Wisconsin. What's near there? And I said, well, Wisconsin. And so I drove up to Wisconsin. And this is a true story of what happened in Wisconsin. I go into a restaurant to sit down, and I say, and it's a real cute, cozy restaurant. And I say, yeah, I'd just like a bowl of soup. And so this lady, this really nice lady, a young girl really, comes over to me and she goes, how do you like your soup? And I just burst out crying. I mean, it was just unbelievable. And she goes, are you okay? And I said, it's just, if you knew how long it's been since I've been around someone who cared how my food tasted, and they really cared about it, you would understand. Because here in LA, they're all very nice, but it's all for the tip. Do you know what I mean? It's for the tip and to get out. And pretty much, I mean, there's a few people you'll see at different restaurants where they really care, but a lot of people know. So anyway, that was my Wisconsin story. And I did open up an account there. So anyway, now I come back and they go, okay, Bill goes, okay, we have to go over to OSA. They have something that you need to sign. And I'm like, what? So we go up to OSA, and OSA has a thing at the HGB. If any of you know that building, that's on, I think it's on Sunset, I think. I always get mixed up with Hollywood Boulevard. I think it's Hollywood Boulevard. Yeah, it's the same boulevard as the testing center. And that's where all the executives were at the time, and OSA had an office there. But how it works is you have to walk in the door, the security's there. I was OT7, I was on OT7, right? And I'm this top secret program and everything. But no, I have to wait till someone comes down the elevator and they escort me up the elevator and I go into this room. That's it. That's all I ever saw of OSA. So people are always like, what did it look like? I don't know. I never saw any of it. I went into that room. They told me, I had to sign this thing. And then they escorted me back down and out. That was it. But the thing was, I had to sign this thing saying I would never tell anyone, not my husband, not my friends. And then it started going into not David Miscavige, not RTC, not any of the executives, not any auditors, not any ethics officers, no one. And if you tell anyone, you're going to have to pay $100,000. So this shows you how scared they were of people finding out they were doing this, right? And so I'm like, shit, okay. I look at Bill and I go, this sounds like the Guardian's office, which if anyone doesn't know about the Guardian's office, Google it, Scientology and the Guardian's office. But 11 people went to prison because of what they did. And it was awful. And so to me, it was like, this sounds like stuff the Guardian's office did. And he said, he again, he's my auditor and friend. And he looks at me and he goes, Tori, trust me. And I thought, he goes, I'm not going to do anything illegal. You know that. And I thought, yeah, true. So I signed the thing, right? And I said, but what about me? What if I need auditing or I need ethics or anything? What about me? And he goes, Tori, we have the top auditors and ethics officers on the planet that will help you. And I'm like, okay, I'm just gullible that way. I believe him. I think it must be true. He's not going to lie to me. Okay, so now I've been flying around. He's got the 10 accounts. So what's he doing with these 10 accounts? Well, I can't look on the internet. Now, back then in the 90s, they only had one news group. It was called Alt Religion Scientology, and it was linear, right? So if someone posted, L. Ron Hubbard is a liar, he really had 3 wives instead of 2, which he said he only had 2. So now they don't want anybody to see that. So Bill would go on with one of these phony emails that I'd created. Now, I didn't know this, but I found this out later. He would go on and say, that's not true. That's not true at all. And he would just keep coming on with different identities. Now he's Mary, now he's Sue, now he's Dr. Smith. And then finally he'd switch it to, we really should go, have you ever thought about golfing? Because I'm like really into golf. And the other guy that is Bill, because they're all Bill, right, would come on and go, well, the golfer is a real person. So he would finally come on and say, have you ever thought about golfing? And he'd be like, oh, I love golfing. Yeah, actually, let me tell you a story about golf. Now they're off the topic, right? And that's the goal, to drive it down the page over onto the second page or completely change the topic so that nobody's talking about Scientology. So their 3 goals were: 1, distract off of Scientology any way you can, off of L. Ron Hubbard, David Miscavige, and the Church of Scientology. And I believe they're still doing that to this day. They're still working those systems. And it's probably still Yachty. He's probably still doing it. I don't know. They only had about 4 people at the time. So anyway, finally they realized, well, we don't have to fly Tori around. She can just be in an apartment in Glendale and go through phone books and take out names and numbers and call a place and set up an email thing. So I'm not going to do, to me, that was like identity theft. And I just thought, no, I'm not going to do that. Hey, Robert, hi. I just thought, no, I'm not going to do that. So I would take like one part of a name, another part of a last name, some address here, some address there. I just would mix it all up and give them that and say that's who I am and where I am. So there was no identity theft in it. But anyway, point being, we opened up tons of them, and there was some girl in another room behind me with like 5 computers, and she was like running back and forth doing something on those computers. Now, I'm pretty sure later I found out they were spamming ARS with all their anti-psych stuff. So, all these things were on there about the anti-psych stuff. So they were driving down hot topics with that kind of stuff, which I think that's what she was doing. But anyway, it was very, very weird. And they started getting weirder and weirder and more mafia-like. And I grew up in Chicago around the mafia. And I was sort of like, oh, wait a minute. This is getting really weird. And Bill one day said to me on the phone, don't call me Bill. My name's, call me Ken or something like that. And I'll call you Katie. And I thought, okay, it's really weird at this point. And so the first goal is to distract off of Hubbard, Miscavige, the church. The second goal is divide and conquer. Now, let's see, wait. Alaska says a connection between OSA and the old guardian's office in your mind. Okay, I don't know if you're joking or not, but there's definitely a connection. I mean, they're 100%. I mean, it was what happened is those guys went to jail, so they said, "Oh, L. Ron Hubbard never knew about that, even though he wrote all the Guardian's Office programs." Trying to put Paulette Cooper in prison. If you've never read that, study up on Paulette Cooper. It was unbelievable the stuff they put her through. So to me, it was like, I don't want to do stuff like that. And he was like, no, we're not doing that. We're just handling the internet. And again, he knew I didn't know what the internet was. So it was easy to just kind of keep me going. So anyway, we're opening these accounts. They're acting more and more mafia-like. The first goal is to distract off of Scientology, L. Ron Hubbard, David Miscavige. The second goal is divide and conquer. So that's like to get people fighting with each other, right? And the third goal is to just slime the area so much with just shit that nobody will want to go onto it. So I find out about these 3 goals right before I woke up and left. But what happened for me is I thought, you know what, this is just getting too weird. I've got to go look on the internet and see what they're doing with my accounts, right? Because I'm opening those phony accounts thinking they're doing stuff that's, humanitarian and kind or something. I don't think they're harming people, right? So I go onto the internet, and that day, thank God, it was all baking recipes. So imagine a linear thing with all baking recipes, how to bake chocolate cake and chocolate chip cookies and cupcakes. And in between it would be people saying, I didn't say that. Scientology's changing my words. And I realized, oh my God, that's what Yachty's doing with this. He's tricking these people. And I can't do that. I'm a free speech advocate. And I was just like, no, I can't do this. So I call up Bill and I say, you know what, Bill, I really can't do this anymore. And he goes, okay, well, just meet us over at that apartment where you were in Glendale. And, we just want to get a debrief on what's going on. All sounds regular, no problem. So I walk in, I go by myself, I walk in, it's all men. It's all big men. They're all men that used to go, Tori, hi. And they're all like this, hello, hello, hello. Like they're not friendly at all. And the sun is going down, and I'm thinking, this is really spooky. There's like 6 men that are big. I'm the only woman. I'm in an apartment, and Bill isn't here. Right? And all of a sudden, bam, the door slams open, and in comes Bill and Gavino. And Gavino looks at Bill and he goes, I warned you about her. I warned you about her. And I'm like this, you warned her about what? Or him about what? It wasn't even in my mind. It's like, what are you thinking of? And if they had just let me say, you know what, I don't want to do it. I've got to go back to work. I would have gone back to work and I probably would have still been a Scientologist. You know what I mean? But it's just sort of like, no. So they spent 2 hours pounding me saying, what would you say? Well, what if somebody asked you about this? What are you going to say? And I was like, nothing. I just kept saying nothing. And in my mind, some of these guys were not OT7. And in my mind, I was thinking, wait a second. What about Bill saying oh, no, I know what it was. The guys were OT7 and 8 that I said. But Gavino was not. Gavino was only clear. He's a Sea Org member, typical. They rarely get above clear, if that. He was clear. But he didn't know about Xenu, BTs, clusters, stuff like that. And all that stuff in my auditing kept coming up. It was just whether it's real or imagined, that's what was happening. Thank you, Alex. And so, he loves my hat. I do too. Thank you. And thank you for noticing it. So anyway, it was just one of those things where it was really, really spooky. And now I forgot where I was. See, I get distracted and then I forget where I was. What was it? Love? Is that it? No, he's talking to Love. Let's see. We were with Yachty. We were at the apartment. Oh, yeah. He says, I warned you about her. And I go, you warned me about what? And they spend about 2 hours. Oh, that's what I said. What about me? Remember I said, what about me if I need auditing or ethics? And they said, we have the top auditors on the planet. We'll help you, Tori. Well, now here I am. Okay, all I was planning on doing was leaving. That was it. I wasn't planning on leaving Scientology. I was just leaving OSA. I wasn't going to say a word. I'm very good at keeping secrets. And I was just like, what is this shit? What if I need to talk to someone? You're going to treat me like this? And I mean, they were really treating me like I was some evil witch, right? And I took it for probably about 2 hours. And then I just burst out crying. And that was it. I went running out of the apartment and Bill came running after me. And I know, Yachty, you knew you fucked up. And you did. You really did. Because if you had not set that whole stupid thing up, I would have still been in Scientology and I would have never said a word about this thing. I wouldn't have. I'm not one of those people that would have talked about it. But because of what you did, I went, you know what? Well, even then, I wasn't going to talk about it. I wasn't going to talk about it ever. Even then, I wasn't going to talk about it, but I was done. I remember thinking I did not get into Scientology to stop free speech. And that's it, right? And I got in my car and he came running after me and I said, get away from me, get away from me. And now for about 6 months, he kept coming over with his wife because they were friends of ours. And before I'd be like, Tori, hi, big hug. And I was like, hello, hello, hello. So there was that. That wasn't going too well. So anyway, that's me with opening up the accounts. And how does that affect you guys? Well, a lot of you guys, it probably won't. But I wanted people to be aware because stuff they do is like they'll butter up to you and be your best friend kind of thing. And all of a sudden it's like, wow, this person's really nice. Hey, all right. And you have to be, you have to keep your antennas up. It's like, wait a minute, I didn't know this person. And all of a sudden, I don't like my best friend. Because that's one of the things they'll do. They'll just get in there and just keep planting little seeds about your best friend. And she's not really your best friend. And did you know she said that thing about you? And and pretty soon you're kind of like, and she calls you up and she goes, are you upset with me? And you're like, oh, no, not at all. Now, she doesn't know that this other person has come into your life that you don't even know, that's really OSA, that is intending to break your relationship up. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. I'm glad that you guys appreciate this because it's a big deal. It really is. And I know some people have said, oh, we don't care about OSA. Who cares? Well, I'll tell you something. If you're in this game, you better care about them because if you don't care about them, they're going to be manipulating you. And whether you like it or not, that's the game they're playing. And they're not going to stop. I know they're not going to stop. That's just the way they are. So it's better to learn about it. And a couple of things you can do that are really easy, because I don't want people to get into like, oh, he's OSA and she's OSA. And, that's the other end of negative, where it doesn't work. But what you can do is, let's say you do start a topic. Let's say you start talking about anything that's like Scientology, Hubbard, Miscavige. They waste too much money, and all of a sudden it starts out about money, and then somebody else just keeps picking on you. Like, I think you always are bothered about money. Maybe you have problems in your life with money, and you're like, now wait a minute, how did this change from I'm talking about Scientology and money, and now you're talking about me, which has nothing to do with it. So an easy way to do it is to just repost whatever the topic was. Does Scientology spend too much money? Just post it again. And it's like other people will come on and help you. Do you see what I mean? Whereas when they're attacking you, that just don't get into it. Like Jesse taught me, step away from the stove. If it gets to be too much, where it's too hot and it's just too much, just step away from the stove. That's it. Don't answer it at all. But if you are going to answer it, do it in a smart way where, like, wait a minute, what happened? We were talking about, David Miscavige, and now we're talking about football. Okay, when did that, kind of look up the line and kind of follow different things where it does, for a while, do a little research and see, oh, no, wait a minute. This person, Jake, every time that guy comes on, whatever hot topic about Scientology is going on, it shifts over to football or soccer or his kids or something else, but it goes away from Scientology. And that's when you go, okay, that's a guy you want to just, and even then you don't have to say you're OSA, because it doesn't help anybody anyway. But you can note it and go, okay, probably there's a good chance he's OSA. So I'm going to watch him, and I'm going to repost the hot topic about Scientology, David Miscavige, L. Ron Hubbard. They don't want that, do they, Davey? You don't want people talking about you telling the truth. So you can pull up facts about the church if you don't know it. You just pull up something, and you can post where you got it from. There you go. No, wait, here's a comment. Just a second. Hang on, stand by. All right, we may or may not care about OSA, but OSA most definitely cares about us. Exactly. They're manufacturing their own enemies at an alarming rate, and they'll stop at nothing. Thank you. That is so true. And, that's a thing I tried to tell them when I was in Alaska. I said, you know what? You guys are creating your own enemies. And I realized it when I was in, because they were doing such weird shit. And I just said, no, I know this, Verity, thank you. She just said, Casey Knight, fantastic hat. Yeah, Casey Knight gave it to me. Isn't it cool? It's really fun. So that's a very good point. That's a really good point that everybody, oh, thank you, Dogs Unite Against Scientology. That's a good one. All right, we may or may not care about OSA, but OSA most definitely cares about us. They're manufacturing their own enemies at an alarming rate, and they'll stop at nothing. Very good point. So keep that in mind, because if you try to ignore it, it's like she said, it's an alarming rate, and they'll just create stuff. So it behooves you to just be aware of it, right? And like I always tell people, because they get into shit and they get into fights with each other, and I say, you know what? All of this is a win for OSA. That's all they want. That's their second goal: distract, divide, and conquer. See, because they know if we're fighting, we're not talking about Scientology, are we? We're talking about each other. Well, you did this and you did that. You did this. And people can say, yeah, but there's a real disagreement with blah. Okay, get those two people to talk to each other instead of putting it out on the internet, where a bunch of people who really don't know anything about it now add their comments because we're part of a group, and so it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So my thing is like, you can always disagree. Like my dad said, I always use the table thing because my dad said, you know what, you're going to end up being around bullies, Tori. It's just the way it is. But because I was hanging around with the boys, my brothers, I have 2 older brothers and their friends. And I had a few girlfriends that came along, but he said, I want you guys to all understand how bullies work. And anybody can disagree. As long as you're sitting down at the table, it doesn't matter. You can talk it out. The people that won't are the bullies. And just don't worry about it because you don't need to talk to them. You don't need to address it. They're not there to help you. They're only there to hurt you. And it's really been a good lesson for me my whole life. And part of why I was waking up, because I realized Scientology is just like that. They won't sit down at the table and talk to you. Hell no, not really. They'll talk to you with the policy and what L. Ron Hubbard says and what Dave Miscavige ordered and, whatever. But they're not going to talk to you. Do you see what I mean? They do, but then they always have the reference to direct you back to. So anyway, there you go. Those are the 3 goals of the Office of Special Affairs. And I will tell you a last funny thing that happened on this. Kathy and I were friends. Kathy, who was Bill's wife, knew nothing about this. And Harold, who was my husband, knew nothing about this. So, per the things we'd signed, we couldn't tell them. And so now Kathy calls me. This is, I've like this is like, okay, I woke up after I ran out of that meeting and I was like, okay, I'm done with Scientology, really. But I didn't leave. I wasn't ready to leave. But I ended up, getting closer and closer to leaving. And now I'm like the night before I'm going to leave. And Kathy calls me. And by then I'd been making posts on the internet. I was making like 4,000 posts in 2 weeks. And I was too afraid to read the internet, which I know sounds nutty to all of you, but back then it was like really scary. And I only had that one girl who went crazy, who didn't really, they drugged her and reverse audited her, but I didn't know that. And so I was like, I'm not going to read it, but I'll just post a bunch of junk and somebody, I hope and pray, will come on and help me. And that's what happened. Andreas came on and he said, Magoo, nobody knows what you're talking about. Because I had a thing where I would post something and I only knew how to copy paste. So I would copy paste what somebody said. They had like somebody and then somebody else, and there'd be arrows in between. And I'd think, oh, who needs all these stupid arrows? And I'd erase them. So it all just mushed together. And he said, nobody can understand you. You're not formatting. I'll teach you how to format. So that was a huge wake-up call for me, because Andreas was like the devil incarnate for me, because he had up this big Xenu.net site. So now I'm looking at it and I'm like, wow, here's this guy that I think is the devil and he's helping me and it worked. And my mother taught me to say thank you. So I send him a thank you note and he writes me back and he says, you're welcome. Best wishes, Andreas Helderlin. So anyway, long story short, he helped me on that. I've written, you guys have probably seen my escape story and it's all in there on that. But the funny thing with Kathy that I wanted to tell you is she called me the night before I was going to leave and she goes, oh, I want to talk to you. And I said, and now you have to get, she didn't know anything about this top secret, anything. And I said, Kathy, I'm not going to meet you. I'll only meet you in a public area. Because I was really afraid for my life at this point. I knew they were going to come get me somehow. So she said, okay, let's meet at Kookaroo's. I think that was it. It was one of those takeout chicken places. So we're there eating and I'm like looking around like, waiting for the army to come in and drag me off or something. I'm really scared because I've been in touch with Andreas and that. So it doesn't happen. And now we finish eating and she goes, look, Bill really wants to talk to you. And he hadn't talked to me in like 6 months, except coming over to visit, but it wasn't anything really where we were friends. And now she's kind of saying he wants to talk to you. And so I say, okay, I'll go with you. But I tell you, if Gabino walks into your house, and they lived in a little tiny house. And I said, if he walks into your house, I'm going to call the police. And that's a big thing to say to a Scientologist. Big thing. And she goes, okay. So we walk back to the house and the door is wide open. There's Bill with his arms out. Tori, hi, come on in. Come on into my office, which I'd gone into a million times watching this Top Secret Mafia thing before. And so I go in and he goes, it's amazing. You're the only person that's ever been in touch with Andreas. And I said, well, Bill, he's really not that hard to get in touch with, because I sent him one little email and he wrote me back. So, there you go on that. So he says, anyway, we talk and he goes, well, come in the living room, sit down. And I sit down. And remember, this is a guy that's audited me for a lot of things. And he goes, okay, what's going on? And I said, nothing. And he goes, Tori, what's going on? And I said, nothing, Bill. And I have this Homer Simpson bubble of remembering all the grilling that I had gone through of like, have you embezzled money and have you done this? And, they have all this bullshit questions that they ask you forever. And if they hear someone like me say that, they all laugh and go, oh, see, she has missed withholds. That's what happened. We missed it. And it's like, no, that isn't correct. So anyway, he keeps grilling me and he's like, what's happening? And finally I say no. And then finally I thought about that. And I thought, you know what? This is the last time I'm going to have to answer these questions ever in my life again. And I get a big smile and he goes, okay, what's that? What is that? That's something, Tori. It's something. And I said, well, let's put it to you this way. And I knew he was on the internet doing his OSA, this shit, distracting, dividing, and slamming the area, all in the morning and all late at night. Like now, this kind of thing. He'd come on and do it. So I said, well, let me tell you this. You will be the first to know tomorrow morning. So I went on the internet at 2 a.m. and I posted Magoo left the building. And you can Google it. It's on the internet. But I made a whole thing saying, because everybody thought I was a guy, because I'd be like, fuck you. I was like swearing. That's from Scientology. They swear like sailors. So they all thought I was a guy. And so I was like, okay, whatever. But now I'm leaving. And so I posted a photograph of me out picketing. And I said, the person, Magoo, is the girl in the video. And anyway, I said, if you're Scientologist, I'm leaving Scientology. If you're with me, call me. If you're not, I'm sorry. Goodbye. And that was it. Nobody ever called me. That was it. They all just done. So there you go. So I just wanted to get you guys up to speed on OSA in case you hadn't watched my earlier videos, because I make them periodically because different people come on and different people, forget and stuff like that. And I think it helps. So I'm going to just go up here and see if anybody has anything that I didn't answer. All right. So, hey, everybody, you guys all look like you're having fun. Okay, good morning. Everybody make sure you hit the like button. And if you haven't subscribed, Alex, subscribe. I don't know if anybody else here has not, but please do. Okay, so good morning, Hans Christian Schwartz, Miss Sunrise Dawn, hi from North Carolina. Very tired, but wanted to come and say hello. You look adorable in that hat. I love it. Thank you. Okay. Hey, Tori, thank you for speaking the truth and everything you do. You're welcome, Tina. I appreciate it. I don't think there's any merit to the reverse auditing thing, like auditing does little in and of itself. It's an intention of trying to harm someone with RA that rubs me the wrong way. Yeah, I don't really know anything about it either, but apparently I was just explained auditing makes you better, which it doesn't really, but reverse auditing definitely makes you worse. So I don't know. All I know is that the worst thing was that they drugged her. Tori, you were talking about opening the accounts on the internet. Thank you, Sophie. All right, here's a question from Eric. Let's see this. When you were traveling the world, while you were in Scientology and when you were out, did you drive a car in the country or did you have someone drive you? I've always driven. I'm a driver. I like to drive. So I'd always just rent a car and I'd drive. Yeah. Hello from everyone. Okay, now this is a thing from Smoke. Sophie, could you tell me the OSA CMOP terminology? I forgot the S in SP. Sorry. I just learned the terminology. I don't want to interrupt Tori. Please and thank you. Aw, that was sweet of you, Smoke. It's suppressive person. That's what the S is for. So I think that's what you're asking about. Yeah. So S is for suppressive, which means you're holding everyone down, you're destroying their lives. I'm an evil, horrible person in Scientology's mind. And remember, I'm also in their mind, I'm CIA, top secret undercover CIA agent Tory. There you go. All right. So Sophie explained that to you about suppressive. This is a good thing, though, for everyone. A suppressive person is someone who is against the church. Tori was declared suppressive because of her speaking out. Yep. And actually, I was declared because Mark Bunker made a video of me called Magoo Dancing in Boston. And it was just a simple video. And I really wasn't saying anything about them or against them. I was saying, why can't you talk? Because they were just filming and videotaping. And I was like, why can't you talk? Scientology believes in communication, which back then I really thought they did. That's what their text says. It isn't true. They can't apply it anymore. It's really weird how it's changed. Okay, good. Okay, good. Smoke got the definition. He heard it defined on trial of Danny Masterson. Okay. All right. Thank you, Sophie. She's so sweet. You're so kind. She goes, Tori's telling us secrets of how they handle the internet. We should all be paying close attention. Yeah, it's a good thing to learn, but you can always re-listen to it afterwards. Okay. Now this is for, I don't know what CT is. It's wonderful how even while you were in the cult, and especially during the 10 years of your slowly waking up, you kept at least a part of your critical thinking alive, instantly making one half. Yeah, and I think that's from epilepsy because I I had to fight for my own life. And when you have to fight for your own life, it doesn't matter what everybody believes. People would say to me, how could you be taking medicine and be in Scientology? And I'd say, you know what? You have a grand mal seizure and then come talk to me about my medication. And in the meantime, bye. I was like, I didn't have time for people because they're too mean. People can be really mean. And I'm telling you, I'm quick at adios. I don't need it, don't want it. Not for NMP, not my problem. A connection between OSA and the old guardian office in your mind. Okay, you said that before, and I've said that. All right, let's look here. Here's some things. Oh, you're heading to the airport, growing up in Scientology. All right, have a good flight. All right, CT means comment. Oh, thank you. Thank you for letting me know that. All right. Great. Thank you for letting me know that. Growing up in Scientology. Hi, Tori. Well, I'm glad you're heading off somewhere. Okay, yeah, don't worry about it. That's fine. You can always watch the replay. And what I love is if you'll make a comment after you watch the replay. Don't feel like you missed all these comments, because those comments are really important to me too. What you think, or how, if you learn something, I really appreciate it if the replay guys leave a comment of some sort, because I don't get to see these comments after this is gone. I haven't been able to learn how to see the comments afterwards. Okay, Adrian. Okay. Sorry. No, that's good. Wow. Thank you, Tim. Tori has not missed any withholds. She worked it all out and saw the lies. Amen, sister. That is so true. All right, now, what is this? That's a brilliant stance to take. I'd be hard-pressed before I'd even consider picking any of those sides. For me, the only two sides are the cult management and the rest of us. I don't know what this is, but I'm going to find out. We're going to inch up to it. What the hell's going on here? Who should I go up to? Okay, this is Tom, says, reporting Scientology for our gamers to the FBI. On the FBI tip form, you get asked, how did you know this information? Answer, is it a Scientology tech used on OT7? And which one communicates with another soul? Okay, fair gamers to FBI. I'm not really sure. Tip form, you get asked, how do you know this information? Answer, is it a Scientology tech used on OT7, and which one communicates with another soul? Oh, I see what you're saying, like a B tier cluster. That doesn't have to do with fair game. Fair game has to do with stuff in real life. It doesn't have to do with other souls. That doesn't have to do with fair game. And the FBI, this has all been reported to the FBI. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I agree with this. I already forgot what CT is. I think it's comment, right? Okay, so the current infighting in the critic community, and I won't be getting into any details, thank you, Alaska, not the place or the time, makes me pull my hair out. It's such a free gift to Miscavige and Company. Exactly. Thank you very much. That is exactly right. OSA is going, yay! They're fighting. They hate Mike Rinder. This is a huge win for them. This is a huge win for them. Now, I understand that Mike and Miriam have their own thing that they need to work out. I get it. But everyone else, it doesn't, I don't think it helps to have everybody else be in on it, because we weren't there. We don't know. She knows, Miriam knows, and Mike knows. And I get it. It may not have been handled the right way, but let's do the best we can do each day and try to stay out of each other's hair and try to support each other. The more we support each other, the worse it is for Scientology. Just remember that. If I hear people whack, whack, whack about a person, and I go, okay, I get it. And hopefully they will talk with that person that they're upset with. But to just blanketly, like, I've been there. I know how it feels, where they had people paid for 8 years, 365 days a year. They had people writing lies about me on the internet. And there wasn't a group like there is now. Like now there's a huge support group. It wasn't then. There were 4 people that would back me up. And they meant a lot to me. They really did. But I really got the feel of how awful it is. It's really something. And Jesse saved my life. He really did. Because, so did Andreas. And so did Bob Minton and Stacy. But, a number of people did. A lot of people really have helped me all through this. And it's been amazing to realize how helpful people can be. Use a Scientology called indoctrination tiaras, in which she projects intentions into somebody until the desired effect. Okay, whatever. I don't know, Tom. I I don't really think those things work. So there you go on that. Hans Christian Schwartz Hubbard really wasn't the brightest person in the room, in any room, in fact. Oh, you're saying Hubbard wasn't? Okay, yeah. Yeah, I know. I met some of his friends. It was really funny. They all felt that way. It was like, no, of course, was really big ego, and they didn't appreciate that. These were some of the writers that he knew back in the day I met. Yeah, TR is short for training routine in Scientology. They study it, drill it until they can do it flawlessly. Yeah, true. Okay, so now Sophie says, this is to Aleska. I don't buy into it. I support all those advocating for the victims and against the abusive practices of the cult. The rest is distraction. Sounds good. I mean, I think we're all moving along here. I think it's good. Yeah, Scientology does have a huge cancer rate, and that's because they're anti-medicine. Oh, no, it's not. Wait. And I know that she had projected these intentions into me because I know that crimes committed in Scientology. Okay. Yeah, I talked to L. Ron Hubbard's doctor, who was a lot of these people's doctors, and he said, look, I'm pro-medicine. I know he was because he got me my medicine. But these people would not take medicine. They would all go down to Mexico and try to do it naturally. And that's why they're dead. It's not because somebody projected cancer into them. It's because they wouldn't get medical treatment that they needed. And you see, it's amazing that they just keep dying and they don't get it. Okay, so you got to ask questions or else I'm not going to do it because we're getting late. Okay. Love the hat. Thank you, Tim. What are all these things that you're putting these links to? Oh, this is a link to another of Tori's videos talking about how OSA handled the internet. Okay, good. All right. Oh yeah, but I won't be able to see it. Can you send it to me, Sophie, in an email? Because I don't know which one it is, and I'd love to see it. But as soon as I hit the end stream, I won't be able to see it, and I can't copy them. I don't know how that works, but I can't really copy them. They have delete, put the user in timeout, and ban the user. I mean, it's kind of creepy. They won't let me copy things. So anyway, if you would send that to me, I'd appreciate it. Or if someone will. I bloody love the hat. Looking awesome. Thank you, Joe. I do too. It's really fun. It's a fun hat. Heading to the airport. Okay, growing up in Scientology, you have a good flight. Thank you for coming by. All right, you guys. Is Aaron here? I don't think so. I didn't see him. Have a chill flight. Hi, Eddie. Hi, Tori. You're looking very CIA this evening. That's what I thought. This is a perfect hat for my CIA thing. The chat will reappear along the video a couple of hours after you. I know people say that, but it takes some time. But I never see it. I don't. So I guess you're asking somebody if they're airing another flight to fight Scientology. Is Aaron here? I didn't see him. Did he come on? I think he's up in Toronto. That's what he said. He was going up there. I don't see him here. No, I don't think so. I don't know why someone's mentioning him, but anyway, All right. Thank you, Sophie. Thank you for sending it to me. All right. That's Growing Up in Scientology, Tori. That's his YouTube name. Okay. Did I say it wrong? Okay. Oh, Growing Up in Scientology is Aaron. Oh, okay. Thank you. You're right. Shit. Hi, Aaron. That was bozoey. I shows you I'm bad with names. I really am. Anyway, thank you. Okay, well, everybody who's flying, have a good flight. Everybody who came here tonight, thank you very much for coming here. I appreciate it. And Sophie, thank you for being my moderator. I really appreciate it. All right, so I'm going to end off with my hat, my CIA hat. Have a good night. Peace out. All right. I love you guys. And please, if you haven't, if you haven't hit the like button, thank you. Thank you very much, Joe. If you haven't hit the like button, hit the like button now because it really makes a difference. Don't ask me why. I don't know why, but it does. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe because my subscriptions are going up and I'm near to another level. All right, so I'm going to end off now. I love you guys. Bye-bye. Sleep tight.